Welcome everybody to the Release 37 Hangout of the Avatar for the Release 37 Postmortem Q&A that we have. We got so many questions from the community over the past week. We know it was a short release, and we still got an amazing amount of quite a variety of questions too. So we're going to be hopping on those pretty much immediately. My name is Matthew Barrick Anderson. I'm the community manager here at Portalarium, and with us is Star Long, the senior producer on the project.
Executive producer.
Executive, excuse me. And Chris Spears, the...
Now you're afraid to say something.
I didn't make a mistake. I already made a mistake.
Tech director, CP, or whatever.
He's a slovenly bum.
Okay, and we also have on the live stream outside the office with us, Richard Garriott.
Hey, and I brought with me my fancy schmancy Calabeth running here behind me.
Oh yeah, there it is. Nice. Coming in clear there for the Calabeth.
Oh.
That's what I was referring to. Yeah. And then we have Gina as well. Gina, want to say hi?
If I don't say hi, the birds will. Hey, everybody.
And Lum, Scott Jennings, Lum Lamad. How you doing?
Hey.
All right, we've got Gina here standing by to take your questions in Discord. Please make sure you're in Discord for questions and to win some really cool prizes. We're going to be giving away some prizes regularly through the postmortem. Lum is going to take care of those. But you have to be in Discord, and please have your name in Discord as either your form name, your official Charlie Avatar form name, or your character name. Otherwise, we will not be able to find you and award the prizes.
And I think we're ready to give away the first batch now, if you want.
Oh, you're ready? Okay. And just one other final reminder, if for whatever reason you can't or don't want to change your Discord name and you are called to win a prize, please immediately message us, preferably Lum, since he is taking the prizes and awarding those, and let us know what your account name actually is. Other than that, let's roll those prizes. How's that sound?
All right, and if you do feel it necessary to message me, please don't message me with questions like, where's my prize? When did I get my prize? Why haven't you fixed my bug? Why isn't the game done yet? If I get any of those messages, I'm just going to cheerfully ignore you. But I'm not ignoring the following people who are getting these prizes. First up, 10 Kodos go to Justin, just YN. And then a pack of obsidian wall lamps so that you can decorate your house in fine ancient obsidian color goes to Ravnos. And also, if you want to have a little more happier decoration, we're giving a snowman with a stovepipe hat to Edhuzin, Edhuzin. And finally, a Dark Star shield if you want to run into battle behind the symbol of our executive producer. The person who can do that is Mobadoy Querent. Mobadoy_Querent. And I'll tag all of you in Discord so that you'll know how badly I mangled your name. Anyway, back to you.
All right, congrats everybody. Great job. We got a whole bunch of more prizes, some festive Yule prizes, and some of the new store items that we've been releasing. We're giving a few of those out.
And also, a quick shout out,
Oh, yeah.
during the show, we will be eating some candy that was sent to us by some of our European players.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Our kitchen is full of chocolates of all sorts. I have yet to try some of the other more delicious varieties from the team. Here's a close-up for you guys. Let me switch that over. There you go.
Tortilla.
Ritter Sports. A lot of I think some of these, most of these are from Germany.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, they're all German.
There you go. Okay, that's good. I'll have to manage that. So we'll switch back to us sometime. Okay, so one other thing as a reminder, you can tell everybody else who's in Discord or Twitch chat if you're not able to actually watch the stream on Twitch. We apologize for that. We really have to constrain these to just Twitch as much as possible to make sure that it goes off without a hitch. If you can't view it, you can listen to it on Avatar's Radio. Avatar's Radio is mirroring the audio portion of this postmortem, so just go pop on there and listen to it as you're driving around or sitting at your home. Take it away on questions.
Twitch, Hitch. You like rhyming.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you did Twitch and you did Hitch. It was good. It was rhyming. It was great.
Yeah, I like to surprise myself.
Yeah. All right. So just to remind, so we just had release 37 that went out last week. And as a reminder, both the last two releases of the year are shorter than normal. Normally our releases last approximately 4 weeks. Sometimes they're a little longer, but normally they're about 4 weeks. They go out on the last Thursday because of holidays here in the U.S. First Thanksgiving in November, and then the winter holidays of Christmas and Hanukkah in December.
Don't forget Festivus.
And Festivus.
For the rest of us.
Kwanzaa, if we want to cover all of, and
There's probably a few more in there. I went to a Saturnalia event with Neil deGrasse Tyson the other day. So
if we want to be complete, we could throw Diwali in there too. Because of that, both those releases in November and December come out earlier than normal. So we have a shorter than normal releases. That means we don't get quite as much content in those last two releases of the month as we normally. But despite all that, we did actually push out a lot of content these last two releases. But with this last release of the year, we specifically chose to push out a few of the tech-related or tech-heavy features and focus on performance. And on the performance side, we mostly focused on building out architecture that over the long term is going to allow us to steadily over time increase performance.
Yeah, but we were still using the old resources system in Unity, and we switched to the new updated system. This opens up a lot of build options for us, but also opens up a lot cleaner background streaming, just more control over things. A lot of it is stuff that isn't apparent to the users in any way, but it opens up just a lot of things that we can do in terms of background streaming. I also just want to interrupt to say that if you guys seen the the president before and after, like before the presidency, then after the presidency, and like they're all like grayed and look old. I just want to say that your mustache is the first time I've really noticed. Your mustache is really showing a lot of
gray.
A lot of gray.
Yeah,
I think this is the project is kind of like the president.
It's aging me.
It's
yeah,
aging
yeah.
you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Totally on topic.
You're not saying that about mine was reading gray or what?
So salt and pepper, I think, is what's that's a nicer way to say it. It's salt and pepper.
Mm-hmm.
Push it.
Push it real good.
Yeah, salt and pepper.
So how
Get
about that
Get it?
chocolate?
Yeah,
Can I
so
try a
it's
piece?
staying on topic. So we did some work on performance. Fortunate for users with nice modern machines with lots of memory, your performance greatly increased. Those of you who are still on older machines with our sort of min spec of 8 gigs of memory, you probably did not see as much improvement in memory, but it's going to get better, we promise.
And there were some memory sinks that were cleared up, but we actually pushed down some aspects of how much memory we're using in terms of a lot of texture and model tuning. But actually some things got pushed up because, as players have probably seen, the big thing we're shooting for in performance this release was not necessarily raw frame rate. I've had a lot of people telling me that they go and they stand and it doesn't look any different. It's like, well, the thing we're working on is making it so scenes with 30 plus players, combat scenes with 10 on 10 or 10 on 20, like that type stuff is smoother and less hitchy. And I have not heard anyone say yet that it is not improved vastly. I actually watched they did a Christmas party at PAX Lair, and I was happy to see that there were 30, 40 plus people there, and the frame rate was pretty smooth the whole time through with no hitching.
Yeah, I attended the party on Saturday, and for my home, and my home machine is not nearly as good as my machine here at work, and it was noticeably better as far as, like you said, hitching. So, a much smoother, more consistent experience.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, we track that stuff in our metrics. So we have confirmed basically all of our assumptions on things that we're shooting for. So
And if you have any questions about your machine, you're wondering, well, it's hitching for some reason, I don't understand it, I have 16 gigabytes of memory, that seems plenty. Let us know. There is a forum section, a subforum in general discussion of the official forums on shroudoftheavatar.com. You go there, it's hardware, software, tech is what it's labeled as, and you can post in there questions about your machine. Show like, hey, I bought this brand from wherever. The community will be more than the rest of the community will be more than happy to help you figure out. Well, maybe there's something quick that you can do to tweak it.
or dogpile on you and tell you what a piece of crap you have.
Wow, how politely put. So performance was a big focus for us. We also did more work on polishing the Path of Love, all the way out through Necropolis, Fight, and the Crypt of the Avatar. And we, of course, this was the first time we did a major polish pass on Arteris. Arteris was always, we've always had an Asian influence to that city, but we really are pushing that visual character to it, and you'll see that now propagating across all of the Perennial Coast. We also the first introduction of town sieges, and I know Richard was particularly excited by that because it is the first, I would say, heavy-duty use of our celestial mechanics system, because it absolutely the way those appear in the world is tied directly to alignments of the planets and where they appear against the constellations in the sky. So I don't know if you wanted to add any color to that.
Yeah, I will. In fact, as a lot of people players of our older games will recognize, is that that's one of the things I enjoy the most is NPCs that have day and night schedules, weather effects, weather effects that have relevance to gameplay. That's coming also, and these celestial mechanics implying the movement of and activities of they foretell bad omens about things that are happening in the real world. And so if you look up in the sky, you probably have noticed there are 8 planets, and those 8 planets have to do with these 8 malevolent spirits that are moving around to invoke these sieges. And if you happen to be someone who has a Dark Star Orrery or a what do you call the little moon dial? I'm forgetting the
Sextant.
name of the sextant, or the astrolabe is the word I'm looking for.
Oh, astrolabe, yeah, because you can craft that.
And if you have an astrolabe, that will show you the constellations in the sky, and you will notice the constellations in the sky map out virtues. And so if you watch the interaction between these 8 planets, which are the sort of the harbingers of doom, and the virtues you see in the sky, you'll see a mapping that will help you determine the schedule upon which cities will come under siege. And that all has to do with the storyline that you will discover much later through gameplay.
Yeah, so that's kind of a broad overview of the work we did in 37. And later this week, on Thursday, we'll be posting our Q1 schedule. So for those of you new to the project, once a quarter, we provide a quarterly update on what we'll be releasing in the next 3 releases. So we just did release 37, so we'll be putting out a schedule that'll let you guys know, give you a bullet point list of what we'll be releasing in 38, 39, and 40, so that could be January, February, March. That'll come out on Thursday, and we're just refining the last few details on that, but just to kind of give you a sneak preview, we'll be putting the finishing touches on the Path of Love. We'll be moving on to the Paths of Courage and Truth. We're going to expand crafting to include things like molds that'll allow you to do visual variations of like weapons and armor. So like elven versions or Viking versions of weapons and armor. We're going to do polishing to agriculture and fishing, expanding how much effect enchanting and masterworking has on the outcome. Your skill in enchanting and masterworking is going to have a much greater influence on the power of those effects and how many effects you have access to.
I just want to say that to interrupt again to try to throw things off and drag this out.
Great.
Point
I
Break
always love
Lannister
that.
here just make you really conscious. He says this guy says a lot.
I do say a lot. I do. Thank you.
My sister, I think I've told you this before. My sister, when I would get up and give speeches in the Origin days, and she'd be there to hear it. Every time I'd go, she'd go, and if I'd be talking and someone else went, it was always my sister, and it then therefore made me my entire track of my thinking. But it eventually did break me of doing that very much. So here we go.
Fantastic. I'll talk a lot slower then. So the broad summary of what Q1 and further into the year is, we really do believe that we're in kind of that final 20% of development, which is both the best of times and the worst of times. So it's a very exciting time in development. It's also going to be what you've already seen, where we're going to be making some of the, what I will say, both the most exciting and kind of the most challenging changes to the game, that while they are what we the ones we consider necessary for the long-term health of the game, but they can be challenging to those of you who've been around for a long time, because they represent a lot of change to the game. So prepare yourselves, because they will be happening, but they are ones that we consider very necessary. So look forward to that this Thursday. We did it again. See, I'm gonna stop myself. I'm gonna notice it myself now. It is a challenge I have. So with that said, we're gonna jump in and start answering questions. As always, we're gonna answer as many questions as we can get to while we're here. Any questions that we don't get to in the time we have allotted, I will take the time, with some help from Chris, to answer those in a forum post tomorrow. So look forward to that. So unless anyone has any other things to add, let's jump right in.
They've commented that I'm always eating. I've mentioned this before. It's kind of like the South Korean food thing, where just people streaming videos of them eating. That's pretty much how I.
Hey, but at least I'm not wiping my hands. I'm not eating potato chips, then wiping my hands on my pants in full view of the Kickstarter camera.
That was good.
All right. So let's jump right in. So Baron Drokus, this is less a question, more a request, asks if we can make the obsidian thrones like the ones found in Desolus available for players to either make or purchase. Yes, that is a great request. One of the things we were discussing just the other day is we do actually need to make a lot more furniture and general decoration items. We just need to make more of those. So, and Obsidian Thrones is a good example. And Drokus also asked, can we consider making more options of items that do not have the Lord British or Dark Star symbols, or the ethical hedonism / virtue symbol like the one on my forehead?
Who burned?
Yeah.
Doesn't like you guys anymore.
Yeah, wow. Thanks, BDF. Gee. Yes, we can consider that.
I'll come up with an Atos symbol that I'll start sneaking onto things.
Nero asks, will we consider adding a feature where we can trade store items for another of equal value?
So my take on that was, I don't know about that. The thing I would like to see someday, in the not too distant future, is making it so you can put up your vendor items, and instead of asking for a certain amount of gold, you can ask for a number of kodos. So you can, kind of create the secondary market of reselling those things for kodos.
So the ability to, when you sell something on your NPC vendor in the game, you have the option to either set a game gold price or a gold crown price.
So you can put up some like pledge item or some other thing for 50 kodos for this house that I'm not going to use. That's cool. Just check your voicemail.
I don't know if someone's saying we're not being heard on the screen or something like that. That could be important. All right. Celine asks, will the beautiful new blooming cherry trees at Tartarus be available in the add-on store? That is a great question, maybe. Good request. Rufus Desperdi, could we, along the same lines, could we get flowering shrubs, trees, and tiles of flowers in various colors added to the game and or the add-on store? Yes, in fact, actually, rose bushes are going to be part of agriculture because they are going to be part of some of the dye recipes. So that is coming. So at least roses are going to be part of agriculture, but other shrubs might be part of add-on store or other things. So yes, both store and in-game. Cambrius wants to know, in future telethons, would we be willing to introduce gameplay mechanics as stretch goal instead of fluff-only items?
Yeah, my thing was if you will recall in the last telethon, I did introduce a gameplay thing, which is to double the fishing rate as a stretch goal. We hit it, and it's in game now. No, I think that is one of those things we can consider. It's just tough. We have a very tight line already in inserting new game mechanics. We kind of are already going to do the things we want to do. And then there's also the whole problem of if we put it in there, it's like, here's a stretch goal, and we don't make it. Clearly, we want it. It's something we want to do. So it's tough to fit in there because then, like, do we not do this feature that we want to do because it was a stretch goal and we didn't make it? It gets into this whole awkward situation.
Well, balance is probably a consideration too, especially if it has anything to do with like combat, you're interacting with other players.
Yeah, and it also runs into the thorny issue of, how we're spending those dollars and features usually end up costing a lot more money than content, and they affect a lot more people than content. The nice thing about quote fluffy items is they really just affect a few people, like artists mainly, and right now in our schedule, all of our people like our technologists are committed all the time, whereas people like our artists, we have free time for them, which is why they're able to do things like add-on store items or stretch goal items or things like that, because they're not committed to doing things like balancing our combat or adding the laundry list of features that we promised during Kickstarter. And so adding yet more features from a telethon would not be the wisest thing to do for our schedule. So the chance of us doing that is very, 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 very unlikely. So no.
But we did double the fishing rate for this.
We did double the fishing rate, but that was
totally
just a
throwing
data,
the economy out of balance.
That was just a data change. So Prison Dude. Wow, that's a interesting name choice. Is there any way we can get the missed telethon items I didn't know about? Well, I almost guarantee you that you could probably find those items in the game on a merchant, player vendor. So yes, absolutely, you can find those. I bet you can.
Yeah, for those who don't know, there's a lot of people who have multiple alts, and they'll get on and do $5 just to get the extra items so they can resell them to you guys later. They're doing you a favor.
Right, a favor. And our general advice is that is why we try to tell people about the telethons as far in advance as we possibly can.
When's our next one?
Our next one is going to be in April. So we generally try to have our telethons about once a quarter-ish. And the next one would have lined up to March, but March is going to be pretty busy with Game Developers Conference and South by Southwest and a release. And so probably April is going to be the next one. So heads up. And in general, you just don't want to miss telethons. So there's always going to be, hint, hint, There will always be exclusive items during the telethon. That's not going
And,
to be a
and speaking
surprise.
of things also going on discount, don't we have a discount going on right now?
We have a purchase bonus, a 10% purchase bonus, and we also have some items that are on a special winter sale, which, like our player-owned town water lots, are on a promotional discount through until next month. So yes, there are a couple of promotions going on. So Emmy Lou Bug. For those of you who are super passionate about soda and want to help the game succeed but lack a disposable income, is there any other way that we can help? Yes, there are lots of ways you can help. So we have several programs like our Bug Brigade program where you can help on the bug forums. We definitely need help going through all the bug reports that players report, helping us verify or finding reproducible cases for those bugs that players report, helping escalate those bugs to our internal QA team to note the ones that are the most urgent for us to fix. So that's one program that you can help out with. There is the Hospitaller program that you can help out with, which is a program that helps new players coming into the game. That's another program that you can help out with. Are there other things?
Being a part of one of the fan sites, being a part of a group or a guild that's doing good in the community, driving events, just participating is something very important that we share all the time. We have a community calendar, so if you like to run regular events, we will put those events into that community calendar, and other people will see that and come and join your events. If you're not even part of the game and you're wondering, well, I'm listening to this postmortem and I'm thinking, well, this sounds really interesting. I can't actually play right now. I can't get the game for whatever reason. Just participating on retweeting and sharing our updates. Anything that you're like, oh, that's really cool. I want to share it with the rest of my friends. Just doing that is helpful.
Yeah. Let's see. A couple of performance questions. How are we continuing to improve overall performance and memory usage? This is from Hermetic. And a related question from Broiler Bear. Never had broiled bear. In fact, I've never had bear meat.
There's bear steak in the game.
I don't know what bear meat tastes like. I've
bear
had
steak.
reindeer.
It's really good, actually. Speaks the Alaskan.
What, Gina?
I said it's actually really good from the Alaskan. So
Oh, really? Bear meat's good?
we eat all kind of stuff out here.
Yeah.
We're weird.
Yeah. No offense to our vegetarian friends of us talking about eating. Any plans regarding performance optimization for Mac game client? So those are a couple of performance questions.
We have a long list of performance items that we still need to hit. There's more frame rate stuff coming that's just general everywhere. There's a lot of tuning that needs to go on. With the auto tuning system has actually broken more recently than it's been improved. This last release, as I mentioned, the main things we were shooting for were improvements in combat, improvements to hitching with a large number of players, smoother background loading of things. But we did not hit much in terms of just raw frame rate. We do plan on hitting actual raw frame rate. Our goal for that was get it basically last release and releases leading up to this. There was no computer on the entire planet that would run a big combat scene smoothly, and that was the number one thing we wanted to fix. We wanted to get it so people who were PvEing, PvPing in large groups could actually do so without constant nasty hitching that was not only killing the fun, but also getting you killed a lot. So now that that is significantly improved, we will continue to work on actually improving the frame rate issues. For the Mac people, probably the biggest thing coming up, we have not done any Mac-specific improvements. We do have a couple of Mac people on the team, including our newest programmer, Undone, who did a live stream here recently, who actually would prefer to be on a Mac. Which I'm going to try to take care of this Christmas and get him a Mac so he can work on that so he has more exposure to that. But the big thing coming up in the pipeline is Metal, which is a new graphics API alternative to. You guys aren't hitting the table when I'm saying.
Oh, we were supposed to. That was only for me.
Okay.
I'll try to remember to do that for you.
We need one of
Then I
those
can talk
clickers. We need one of
slow
those
like
clickers like you
Star.
have for a training dog for a dog.
Yep. But anyways, the Metal API will improve the CPU usage and GPU usage.
Metal!
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that's in the pipeline. There's a lot of graphics improvements. Some things are low-hanging fruit. We've been hitting a lot of the low-hanging fruit, but we had a lot of lower. Oh, son of a bitch. We had a lot of. God, it's just natural. It's really tough. We had a lot of things to take care of that were the low foundation items. All right, I'm just gonna stop talking now because I can't do it. Anyway, we have a lot of foundational type stuff that we were working on this release to prepare us for later releases. In addition to just the things that are visible to the players, a lot of it was needed to be done so we can improve our build times locally, just because it helps our iteration time, which is actually a huge problem when you have a build. I've been on projects in the past that a build basically takes all day long, and it is very destructive. It discourages changes. It makes you afraid of doing anything because you're afraid you're going to break the build, and breaking the build means, oh my god, now you've got to get thrown under the bus for 8 hours the last time. But yes, lots of time, lots of new things coming up, and more improvements by release. This last one was a big band-aid that we had all been afraid to pull out for a long time.
They said in chat, if only we were taking shots, that would cure it.
Really?
Yeah, so we just need to take shots apparently.
Really? That's something
All
I've
our
never noticed.
problems go away.
So if I, the more I drink, the less I say.
Yep.
Interesting. They've observed this. Oh, okay, cool.
We'll do a
Good,
study next.
Good to know.
Next telethon, we
All
will
right.
confirm this thesis.
Would it be possible to give players a twofold silence asks, would it be possible to give players a digital notebook so we can take notes digitally instead of using pencil and paper?
I think you can.
You could use a player.
Get a book, take a blank book, and start typing. I think.
Yeah, you could use a player-written book. I think the problem with the player-written book is, at some point, you can't just leave it open.
Yeah, just close it and have it not publish.
Yeah, you can't.
Here,
just
I'll write a
leave it
JIRA
open.
about that. I'll write a JIRA about that.
Yeah, we don't have any free form. Just type and leave it so you can keep typing into it. At some point, you have to commit it, and then it's permanent. You can't go back and edit it. So, but we do have player-written books. It would be a series of little dynamic written things, so you'd have a bunch of them. So you can kind of do it now. You can't have one continuous one, though.
So I'm going to say 1-day task if we have the data stored local on the computer rather than tied to your account.
And I'll write a JIRA for it. You can deal with it as you wish.
All right.
Throwing it out there.
Let's see. Minshi asks, will we ever implement an API for modders to use?
It's still on the planned list of things to do. As long as we're in this rapid iteration mode, we don't want to open up an API because it would mean a lot of changes and it'd be frustrating both for us to maintain it and for you guys to update your stuff as changes went in. We are getting to a point where we are stabilizing things and fewer changes happen per release. And we will be opening it up. We have talked about how to do it before. Most likely it will be through Lua. And we just need to nail down what things we want to expose to players. So yes, at some point this will happen because it will help us let you guys make us a better game. We've talked about it a lot. For those people that don't know Lua, you can go look it up. It's actually what a lot of different games use.
All right. Widsith asks, do we do stability and sanity checks on the OS X and Linux clients before pushing out releases and patches? Yes, we do a very basic sanity and stability check on Linux and OS X However, it's just that does it do all the basic features run, and it's a very basic sanity check. Can you do combat? Does inventory open up? Can you move items around? Can you craft? Can you fight monsters? Et cetera, et cetera. It's the same sanity check we do for Windows. The issue is that we run it on one piece of hardware, whereas we don't do any other playtesting other than that sanity test for Windows and Mac. Whereas, for Linux and Mac. Whereas for Windows, everyone in the office is running on Windows, so we have a slightly more varied set of hardware. Although even with that, we're all basically running very, very similar sets of hardware for Windows as well, with some slight variations. But there's more people playing on Windows in our office, but we do sanity check. Most of the issues we're seeing with OSS and Linux are things like people running on min spec or on laptops.
And who has the worst machine in the office usually?
What?
And who usually has the worst machine in the office?
You do. Things like a lot of things, it's typical Linux issues of video card drivers, because video card manufacturers aren't the greatest at supporting providing drivers for video cards for Linux. That's a lot of the issues that we see with Linux and OS X. But like Chris mentioned earlier, our newest programmer loves Mac, so that's going to get some more love now. And
also just because I recognize his name, this is someone who was having Mac problems earlier and reported the Mac problems. We were not able to reproduce the load issues. We had Attenwood do a load of about 30 maps in a row, and never had load times that were worse than 20 seconds or so loading into Owl's Head. And I believe probably since this question was posted, she replied saying that they could not reproduce it now in the latest build.
Oh, yeah.
We do actually test things. They run around, and actually I believe Attenwood now has the Mac as his primary test platform. But it's too hard to catch all the coverage. There's a lot of one of the other issues I've been seeing lately is there's a number of older ATI, and I'm saying ATI for those who don't know, AMD video cards used to be known as ATI. And there's still quite a few on the market, and there's a whole series of video cards that they just quit supporting. They quit updating drivers for them. They said we're no longer going to support this. Not Unity, but actually the company that made them no longer updating DirectX drivers, and they just are not supported by most games now. The ATI 5800 series, I think it's that one, and we've got a few people who are playing on it who are reporting issues with it. And their crashes are coming up as GPU crashes, which is actually in the video card driver, which there's little we can do to help with that. But we do actually do a lot of testing. We just don't have all the hardware out there, and there's some that we just cannot support.
Okay. Elfin asks, when will we increase the party size to allow parties of greater than 8 people? So, and I think we've answered this in previous ones, but to answer it again, part of this is just a screen real estate issue. So having a party of greater than 8 people, you run into some user interface and parties and screen real estate. What we really want to do is allow multiple parties to work together. And so what is in our long-term roadmap is having multiple parties that can work together, and so that you can have 2 party leaders have an interface that allows them to coordinate together multiple parties. So that's the answer to this. So we don't plan on having a larger party, but we do plan on having the ability for multiple parties to work together. You can add that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess the thing to add to that is we also do plan on adding more content that will require that type of behavior.
let's see, Roystein Kaelstrom will ask, will there be any kind of smoke indicator for adventure zones, perhaps at least for active PvP activities or death if people are afraid to be found by gankers? So I think if I understand the question correctly, so one of the things we added in a recent release was overworld indicators for player-owned towns that show when people are online. So the windows light up, smoke comes out of the chimneys, and so if I think I understand this correctly, is on the overworld, perhaps having some indicator if people are inside that scene. Now, it's slightly challenging, a little more challenging for something like an adventure zone because they're all different shapes and sizes. They're not as simple as an icon. Player-owned towns are simpler in the sense that, it's an icon that's never more than a single hex, whereas an adventure zone might be several hexes of a forest in one case versus a rocky coastline that's also several hexes in another case, or sometimes it is a single hex that is a underground entrance. But it's an interesting idea of having more indication of activity inside that zone. And so I like the idea, and we do have on our roadmap to expand the overworld indicators for online population to NPC towns and PRTs beyond just the POTs. And so having hooks that would allow us to provide some sort of data. Oh, and also town sieges do the same kind of thing. So you can see now when a town is under siege, a little catapult appears alongside it. So something that indicates players are online in an adventure scene would be some good information to provide there. So
My suggestion was just
Not enough. We're going to work on it. So you're going in circles there, I think.
okay,
But yeah, it's on the Jira stack.
my
okay,
suggestion was having things like birds, basically having particle effects that scale up. So having like birds flying around in the forest that scale up as the birds fly out.
oh,
And then smoke clouds, like dust clouds appearing in it based on activity.
or vultures,
Yeah.
flying around because of the dead bodies. Cambrius asks, how can I unbind keys? So there's an options menu that allows you to bind and unbind keys. So you should be able to just go into that options menu and press delete to clear it. So unless there's a bug that we're not aware of, it's part of your options menu and controls. There's a whole control section that lists all the possibilities. So not sure unless there's a bug that we're not aware of. Let's see.
I will also point out there are some keys that are context sensitive that you can't rebind. But that's really the only ones I'm aware of are the mouse buttons.
And alt.
And all, yeah, there's some of those things that you can't rebind. So
Okay. Let's see. Night Guy asks, there have been many changes in our balances that seem like punishments in the eyes of some in the community. Can you please discuss how they'll benefit fun, which some might argue is diminishing in the long run?
all right, so taking in context with the next question from him, it's about control points. So I'm going to guess that it's about control points.
So let's go ahead and his other question, Night Guy's other question, is there any chance you can implement a broader spectrum of control point levels, maybe introducing some for lower adventure levels to be able to use?
Yeah, so the taking away of toys and making things less fun, it really comes down to I think the thing I've talked about before is just kind of everybody who's played D&D knows where you've had like a Monty Hall campaign where it's just like you get everything, you get tons of experience and you level up and you get everything and it's so easy and it's like great and all that, and it's fun for the short term, it's not fun for the long term. We're trying to make sure this is fun for the long term, so we're trying to make sure that there are things give a balanced amount of rewards. The thing that I look at is we do have a target XP per hour cap that we expect people to be at and gold per hour cap that we're targeting. But the big thing we look for is we don't want the number 1 scene to be way up here on the chart of experience per hour and then have number 2 scene way down here. That's how actually it was. Every time I look at the XP per hour earned, the control points were 5 times the next closest map. And it's just because somewhere along the line, the design for the control points changed to something that it was never really intended to be. We still have not, I'm just going to say a lot.
Have a piece of chocolate every time you do that.
I'll go get pork rinds and eat one of those every time. We changed those somewhere along the line. They are not what they ever were intended to be. While they're fun, they're not balanced, and they're also not, they don't match the scenes. They're supposed to be you capture the scene and then you keep it safe for people so people can travel through safely. And somewhere along the line that vanished. While they're still fun, that was never what they were intended to be. Now, having that type of a wave mechanic is something we should have, but I don't think control points are the place. They should have a wave mechanic, but it should not be an endless wave, because it's pretty much turning on a fire hose of experience and gold for the players who know how to exploit things. The other thing is going through and looking at what the people who are able to just dominate, this scene that's intended to not be doable by 8 people, and they're doing it with 3, seeing what they're doing and finding those, high-end, not exploits, but just overly optimized ways to play, and making sure those are balanced. There's every release, it seems like some new way of doing things comes up, and I slowly tune things down. So it's not trying to remove fun, it's trying to make sure that it's balanced, and that because if not, the game will not be sustainable in the long run. So we do have targets for all those things. All mechanics are built around matching up to those targets, and it's just one of those things. Every scene but the control points really fell within those bounds that we were expecting for progression.
Yeah, and it's an interesting way that the question is framed, and an interesting way that the players react to some of the changes, and it's I often liken it to brushing your teeth, in the sense that eventually if you don't brush your teeth and you only eat sweets, your teeth will rot out of your head, and then you won't be able to eat those sweets that you love so much. And so the issue is that we want you to have fun for a while. We want you to not just have fun for a week or two and then burn out and not have any more fun. And so some of the patterns of behavior that we see are players will use, if we let you level up too quickly, or you find these places that are basically experience point spigots, and then you just zoom up in level, then you're going to burn out of content and you're not going to have any fun. You're going to reach this end point and be like, now what do I do? And so it's not a matter of us making it so the game isn't fun. It's just us making sure that we're pacing the content properly, and we're plugging holes, and we're balancing the game. And a lot of those changes are as we are doing these final balance passes, they are going to be rapid pendulum swings as we sort of get everything sort of balanced towards the middle. But they are all in the interest of the long-term health of the product, and it is going to be change, and so but it's not us trying to remove fun. We're just trying to make the game healthy. So that's all.
I'm gonna ban somebody from Discord chat, and I can't do it on my phone. I'll be
Okay,
right back.
have fun. All right. Let's see. Mayday asks, could healers click a health bar on the list of party members for targeting? I thought we already had that.
I'm guessing, I'll be honest, I do group, but I use F1 to F2, F3 to do the selection. I know that works. Maybe the clicking to target didn't work. I don't have a bug on it though. So
yes, we
if
should
it's
do
not
that.
working, go make sure and fill out a bug. I'll try to remember to go look at that, but I didn't think that was an issue. I know F1, F2, F3, F4 works.
Yeah, I'm pretty okay. Yes, we will make that happen. I thought that we had already implemented this, but if not, we will make it. So, in fact, let me make a note or Richard, if you could enter a JIRA for me, that would be awesome.
Okay, very good.
Rufus Disparity asks, does the proposed town siege experiment for player-owned towns include any provision for the pot to opt out of these sieges? So what Rufus is referring to is, so we implemented the first round of town sieges, and one of the things that's going to be coming up in next year is the concept of town blessings. And what these are is the ability for a town owner, these are not just going to be town owners, but these are also going to appear in NPC towns, is the ability to place for a shrine, and that shrine will confer a blessing upon someone who uses it, and that the power of that blessing will be directly tied to the population of that city. Power or duration, the designer who sets the blessing will have the power to decide whether they want to use duration or power. So what Richard has proposed out of that design is that it's tied to the siege mechanic, because the siege mechanic is tied to the virtues and the anti-virtues. So the way one of the triggering mechanisms for the sieges is as the planets which are tied to the anti-virtues align with the constellations which are tied to the virtues, cities who have shrines to the virtues will come under siege. And the Kabbalist of that anti-virtue is the person who appears sieging that town. And so the proposal is that player-owned towns who place shrines related to those virtues will now have the benefit of those blessings, but the risk versus reward is that now when the celestial mechanics align, your town will be vulnerable to those sieges of those Kabbalists. So my answer to will there be an provision to opt out, there's a couple of answers to that. One answer would be that, if you can just not place a shrine, and then, your risk versus reward is like, well, you don't get the benefit of blessings if you're not willing to take the risk of the siege. Another option would be maybe we have some blessings that are tied to the virtue shrines and some blessings that are not tied to the virtue shrines. Maybe some blessings are tied to something else that's not linked to the virtues and therefore not linked to sieges, and so wouldn't trigger sieges, etc. So those are two options. We're still in the process of finalizing the designs of this, and as I mentioned, it's an experiment we're going to run about tying the blessings to the sieges. So none of this is finalized, but that's the two options we're considering. Either it's literally, you're opting in by taking advantage of the blessing system. So if you don't want to be vulnerable to the sieges, then don't take advantage of this blessing system, or having some blessings that aren't tied to the virtues. But I'm guessing, if I have to read Richard's mind, Richard is going to push for option one, which is blessings are tied to the virtues. If you don't want to take advantage of the blessings, don't place.
Well, actually, I'm a little more liberal than you predict,
Okay.
Which is, if you remember, the original shrines included some things that weren't the virtues. It had the oracle and a few other odds and ends, and so I don't mind having a few extras that do a couple of different blessings as well. But we can explore that offline.
I've been reminded that we have been remiss on our prize giveaways, and that it has been too long. And I think while we're going to do prizes, Chris is going to get himself some snacks of either candy or pork rinds.
Well, while he pork rinds it up, I'm going to go ahead and give out some prizes. First, we have 10 Kodos won by Draugr, a building block pack of 110 pieces of ice, now won by Statassa Steppenwind, a dragon mask won by Night Guy, and a Lord British shield for when you want to show the symbol of virtue as you go into battle, won by Nero.
Hooray, Nero! You know what side to be on. Hey, I do want to mention one more thing, too, also about the current implementation of the Sieges star before you move on, just because I think it's kind of interesting. Sure. Which is in the player run towns, we will generally be putting one shrine in that town, which is plenty. That means that you'll get plenty of. There will be more than your share of sieging already with one. But unless we defeat it, it also means that if you put multiples of those shrines down, that in theory there are 13 constellations. 12, 13, whatever it is, 12. There are 12 constellations in the sky. If you put down a shrine for each of the 12 constellations, that would basically mean you are constantly being sieged by every one of the Kabbalists. And so that's what would happen right now. I doubt we will allow that to explicitly happen that way, but because it could be gamed at the moment where you could use it as a layer of protection for your town to have people have to fight their way in and fight their way out.
We have a question from Twitch chat. How do I win prizes anyway? To win prizes, make sure you're in Discord. Chat is our general chat for chatting with the community, whether there's a live stream or not. So please be in there and make sure you have your forum name or your character name as your Discord name. Otherwise, we will not be able to actually award you a prize when you win one. So just be in there, and we'll randomly select, and you have a chance to win some good stuff. We've been giving away some store credit and some of the recent items that we've been putting in the add-on store, and we'll have at least a couple more rounds before this live stream is done.
All right. Back to the questions. Roystein Kaelstrom asks, can you please confirm that brewery will be ready to test by, he wrote release 28, but I'm assuming he meant release 38. Like I mentioned at the top of the hour, we will be releasing our, that's not on the, there you go.
Is that one up there?
Anybody
Oh,
want
it's crackling. Oh my God, it's crackling.
Crackling pork rinds.
Wow.
I recommend you do not look up a documentary on how those are made.
Is it too hot to eat?
You can eat them.
Or is it too hot?
No, you can eat them.
Ooh.
Somebody pass this up.
Oh, so good.
So,
Matt, I'm sharing the same face as you are right now.
our Q1 schedule will go live on Thursday, but the brewery and alcohol will be in Q1. It just won't be till the end of Q1. So, unfortunately, not release 38. It will be currently release 40. If we can pull it in earlier, we can. But there is the same person who works on that is the same person who's going to be working on the new NPC conversation UI, and also some improvements to how enchanting and masterworking are working. So unfortunately, that pushes out alcohol and brew. Okay. Let's see. And let me see. Going up. Let's see. Uncle Benny asks, can we please remove the timer reset for the action of stacking spells?
I'm not sure what that is. I went and verified this just before the hangout. I'm not sure what he's actually talking about. If you combine two spells, there's no reset. I thought there might be a global cooldown that I just hadn't noticed, but there's not even a global cooldown. You can boom, 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 boom. So maybe somebody can clarify in Discord what he was talking about, and I can answer him in a minute.
Yeah, I think we need clarification on the next question as well from Valor, who asks, is there a fix for the stealth skill often not working until you relog?
So I haven't seen that. The one big issue I have that's open on me right now is still the auto attack can be a cruise missile type, hit anything even if you're stealth type attack. So, basically uncover stealth people. I hope to have a fix in for that for R37.5, but it's not in today. But I'm not sure what his question is. Let's see. I'll keep an eye out. Maybe somebody else can keep an eye out who has more than 3 lines on their screen.
Those things are still popping.
I know they're amazing.
Like you put them in the microwave, they like sizzle them.
For those who are curious what this is, I'm a big pork rinds fan. And these are actually super healthy. They're like 9 grams protein, 2 grams of fat, no carbs,
Oh, that's about
and only 150 milligrams of salt. And so for my,
That's very dubious.
I won the costume contest or part of the costume contest for Halloween and got a $25 gift certificate. So I bought a 2.5 pound bag of bulk microwavable pork rinds for the company.
You mean for you?
For the company.
Yeah.
They're in the kitchen.
By the way, if you accidentally cook them too long, it is one of the worst smells you can possibly imagine. Not as bad. No, it ranks up there with when you leave the popcorn in too long.
I think this is worse.
Oh, the broccoli.
I saw somebody asking about shooting across the map bug. That should be fixed. I think it's going to be in the next build because this build failed, didn't it?
I thought it got fixed yesterday, in yesterday's patch.
Was it? I don't know if it was in yesterday's patch or the patch that was going to go live at night.
No, it
It's
should have
shooting
been.
across the map.
It should have been
Okay.
in yesterday's patch.
Well,
By
great.
the way, thank you, community members from Germany who brought a delicious assortment of chocolate snacks for us. If you didn't bring these, I'd be eating pork rinds right now. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Zixing asks, is the enchantment recipe skill going to be fixed? No more messaging such as this recipe requires a bugged of 30 or higher. Yeah, there's a localization issue there. I think I understand this question. We upped the minimum requirements. And I think that there's to get
Players
to
are saying it's fixed already.
Oh,
A player.
okay.
If it's not fixed, blame that guy in chat. Who was that? That was Liz the Wiz says it was fixed.
Okay. All right. Sweet. Already fixed.
Elysian illumination being too blinding.
We already toned that down some, but I guess we need to tone it down some more.
Oh, that reminds us. We should mention the, the amazing thing that's about to happen for the first time in the project's history.
Yeah, so we have a starting in January 2nd, we will have a dedicated visual effects artist.
Never had one.
Never, ever.
Great.
Yeah, all our visual effects have been done by somebody in their spare time.
And for instance, one that they mentioned there, the Elysium illuminations, right here.
Yeah.
You know, programmers make good particle effects.
All right. Sills asks, will we see any adjustment to adventure level, providing HP, focus, etc. in the future?
So I've mentioned that I intend to turn down the curve just a little bit, raise the starting level, the starting hit points, and turn down the maximum just a little bit. I haven't done that yet, but I do plan on doing that. Basically just give the starting players a little more hit points, and at the high end, you know, probably be a drop of 700 to 600 type range. So there is some of that planned. I have not decided when that's going to go out. As the other guy mentioned earlier, it'll be another one of those things where people are screaming, "Why do you hate us?" We don't hate you, really just trying to really focus on the balance of things.
All right.
And we do want levels to matter less and less as we continue to move forward. So,
Sills asks, could we see deck synergies where if we stick to a few specific skill trees in a deck, a bonus could be applied to make that deck more efficient to help folks specialize?
I've got a long list of mechanics for deck stuff, including skills that you have to put into your deck that then add bonuses to every skill in the deck, which would be closer to that. I don't have that one on my list of if you only have like 1 school or 2 schools that you get some type of bonus for that, or it gives you an attunement bonus. It's probably what it would equate to. I think as players are getting more advanced now and the system gets a little more tuned, there are more people actually trying to come up with strategies for that. The players, when I go and look to see who's the dominating player doing things I don't expect them to be able to do, it's almost always somebody who has a pretty good deck design, which I then have to destroy by balancing it a little bit. So Yeah, I do see more mechanics coming up with that type of stuff in the future. That one is not on my list. I do have a pretty good list of mechanics I'd like to get into that though.
All right. Let's see. Why does Coeur d'Alene asks, why does pickpocketing a practice dummy cause you to lose virtue?
Why are you trying to learn and get better at pickpocketing?
Yeah.
You obviously have evil intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, honestly, I think that's one that just slipped by. The
I think that's hilarious.
yeah,
Just not work.
I didn't know that actually happened, but obviously it should happen. The training dummies are actually creature NPC type things with just some magic on them, so they behave just like NPCs unless we tell them not to. So that's one of those things we probably should tell them not to behave like an NPC.
Yeah.
And that is hilarious.
That is, yeah.
You get anything out of your training dummy when you pick his pocket?
Yeah, does it have any loot?
Almost gone.
Yeah.
Jira created.
All right, let's see. Minchie asks, is the future of fishing still the same as you described last year at update of the Avatar 141 R22? Wow, nice.
Yeah, in other words, aren't we really incredibly far behind on making fishing have any real
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice archaeology. I had to go back and refer to what we said. Let's see. Seasonality and time of day differences. Actually, time of day differences are already in. So dusk and dawn are the best times. That's already in the game, by the way. So dusk and dawn are the best times to fish. Seasonality is not in, but that is still in the plan. Let's see. Location, different types of water, associated fish types still in the plan. Hot spots with visible schools of fish. That's already in. Timing and reflexes, watching your bobber and using a reel skill. We would eventually like to get that. Adding trophy data to the fish you catch, recording size of each fish. We still want to do that. So yes, all those are still in the plan. And in Q1, no less.
And many of them are in. Was the how much you fish a spot basically can fish out a spot? Is that on there? Because that's one of those that's in there as well.
No,
and trophy, you don't get to track the size of your fish, but you can make them into trophies now, which is something I don't think we had on the plan back then.
All right. Coeur d'Alene says the implementation of lockpicking in dungeons sounds fantastic. This causes to take a virtue hit as well. Also, we'll be able to pick locks on player houses eventually. So where I think he might be getting this from is that in Q1, again, sneak peek, we are going to be refactoring doors and keys and locks along with doing adding a bunch of trap types. And we didn't specifically mention lockpicking in that, although if we have time, we might add lockpicking to that refactor. So not sure we will actually get to lockpicking in Q1, but if we did, it would be part of this. And I don't think you would take a virtue hit for doing lockpicking in a dungeon. I mean, that would be important for us to make sure that we'd have to make some sort of alignment system related to that.
I think
actually, it might be as simple. Actually, it might be as simple as detecting whether there's a theft detection area, right? Because we already have the theft detection area for the NPCs.
Correct. So any of the doors in the dungeons wouldn't have that around it, so that you could pick those fine.
Yeah, so that would probably be as simple. And as far as picking locks on player houses, don't plan that in the near term. Probably, if we did allow that, we'd probably only allow that in a PvP area, and even then.
So what I could see happening, and that we have talked about is when just brainstorming, is allowing players to pick locks on houses, which would let you in, but still making it so you couldn't steal things. There could be maybe some variety of town or some options for the hardcore where you couldn't steal things. But it would allow you, if you could get into the house, even if you couldn't steal things, it'd allow you to wait for them and ambush them and kill them in their own house, which might be a little satisfying.
Huh.
I like that.
Yeah, so if there's any form of lock picking, it would probably only happen in PvP areas. So FYI.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
I see people freaking out on Discord there about lockpicking, but yes, it's don't worry, we'll do it only in places where people would expect it and want it.
Let's see. Infernal asks, how about special crafted items directly made from using skill points? I'm not sure what this question means. Hopefully someone in Discord can...
I can see two translations, one where you're things that require a certain skill level, and then the other would be one where it actually spends, like removes cost experience to craft something. The latter is a interesting option for things we want to make really compelling, is having it so end up spending skill points, cost not only all the ingredients but also 100,000 points of experience off this one skill.
Okay.
Interesting idea, which may not be his idea, but one I don't think we've considered before.
Okay. Let's see. Aster Cerberus. Let's see. How far along are tools and systems for us to use for developing an in-game marketplace and for identifying regions of activity, heat maps, etc.? So other than some design discussions, we haven't started work on this.
You talking about the data pulling offline, so websites and other people can actually mine the data for that stuff?
No, I think they're talking about things like being able to know, like in the game, what are the best, like what vendors are.
Oh, that, yeah.
So, I mean, other than some design discussions, I think that's what they're talking about. Again, maybe someone.
Yeah, no, I think that is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
We talk about it at the Hangouts. We probably need to get JIRs created for it.
Yeah.
And get it on a schedule sometime, because I don't believe that's going to be that hard. And we'll have a lot of payback for those people. And yes, it will be totally gameable in that you can put stuff on your vendor and have your alt buy a bunch of junk off of him. But yeah, there's some things that we won't be able to prevent in terms of how people will game it.
All right, Majoria 70. Are we going to get more consequence-based crafting items such as sleeping in beds, giving resting bonuses, and starving if you don't eat for a while? So sleeping in beds, giving a resting bonus, something for us to consider. And as far as starving, we already give bonuses for eating, and our design decision on cooking and food we made a while back was that we would go for the carrot, not the stick. And so cooking is a bonus to base regen, but you're not going to be punished for not eating, if that makes sense. So we don't currently have any plans to start killing you for not eating.
But if you follow the same logic that all the players use, if you give a bonus for something, then the other is the punishing. So even though we're not punishing you, we're effectively punishing you because you can get the bonus. They cross over the line. Is that too much? Call out the,
yeah, I think that's a little.
I won't go with the details on
Yeah,
what
I think you're
referring to.
Yeah, we'll push the camera there. Okay. Yeah, never playing the custom. All right, Gadfrey Zooks. Will there be a way to visually tell that an item listed on a vendor has been dyed? I don't know about visually, but we definitely know that there is a need to be able to tell if an item has been dyed on a vendor and in your inventory in general. And that is definitely something that we need to provide, especially on vendors when players are buying stuff, because of the value of dyes, not just crafted but purchased as well. So.
And I think we can do that as long as we left it to the text, so it shows up in the mouse over the text. The problem is right now we have an icon, and we don't change the icon based on how it's died. So as long as we leave that text, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, we have to make it, though, it has to be the tooltip text and not their customized
Yes.
text, because we can't rely on someone to write, oh yeah, I totally dyed that with the sparkle dye.
Mm-hmm.
Because players would just change the name of it.
Lang is saying, doesn't the tooltip already show the color? Not sure.
It does. It does show it in
It
the
shows
tooltip.
the tooltip, okay.
It shows it in the tooltip.
Done!
But I think they want some easier way to, like, a D in parentheses or something like that.
How about some prizes?
Sure, prizes. Prizings.
Will let us do the pricing. We have 10 Kodos going to Jerry Fairdust. A set of holiday wax cylinders for your holiday music going to Yordic Myers. A set of obsidian street lamps going to Lealin. And finally, a set of battle banners so you can have battle between Lord British forces and Darkstar forces goes to Fantalio.
Fantastic. Grasp and tally and all. One thing about those banners, if you want to switch the banner, you
All the virtues.
All right. More, let's see. Zell Bifurcus asks, can we have a way to make our writings in books and papers to be labeled anonymous instead of displaying the actual author's name?
So you can leave death threats and
offensive stuff in there?
Yeah.
Probably not.
How else will you be able to write your snuff porn manuscripts if you can't write it anonymous?
Wow. Way to go dark.
Well, to lighten that up a little bit, there are a lot of writers that like to use pen names.
I mean, I guess as long as we had the data on the back end to be able to track content that was reported for violations of our terms of service, I guess we could support this.
Maybe if we had a little bit more reasoning behind your question and why you want it, we could work around that, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we could consider it. You know, we'd have to have a compelling use case. Let's see. Tetsu asks, can we get a hide helmet option? I want to see my beautiful face. Yeah, I mean, I guess.
So we talked about this before, and I think at one point somebody, I'm not sure who we want to throw under the bus, but somebody,
you can throw me under the bus.
Somebody had shot it down because we didn't want people to be able to hide what type of armor they were wearing on their head. But you can't hide the rest of your armor, so I think it's fine to be able to hide one piece. It's not like that's going to make a huge difference.
Or we could just make it so, you know, if you're flat PvP, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the only time it would make any difference is when you're in PvP.
Yeah, because monsters don't care what your helmet is.
Right. So maybe that's the thing. It's like maybe even, yeah. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's just if you're flat PvP, or if you're in an open PvP zone, it doesn't work. But every other time, yeah. So there, I solved it. So yes, we can totally do it with that caveat. Done.
Except there's some people who don't want the hide helmet option. BDF has already spoken out against it. I think it'd have to be an option per player, and the player would say whether or not their helmet is hid. Because some people want to wear their helmet, they don't want you to see their hideous face. They want to keep their helmet on, even if you have the no helmet option.
Well, no, it's
Except
you.
per
It's
person.
for you, not other players.
Yeah, but they don't want other players to be able to see them without their helmets. They always want their helmet on because they got their cool, bucket helmet.
No. You're flagging
Yeah,
whether
okay.
you're showing your helmet.
Yes.
You have no control of what other people's helmets are on or off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a your avatar helmet flag, not other people avatars helmets flags. Yeah, we'd never give you control over other people's helmets. Okay. Let's see. Mayday asks, can the NPC merchant who sells seeds be available to POT owners for placement? Yeah, I think that's supposed to be the case anyway. So Richard can make me a bug.
What am I bugging?
POT merchant seeds. I'll figure out. Just that'll be fine. I'll figure it out. Let's see. Can we have an option to remove the die from an item and restore it to the default? Yeah, that's been our backlog for a while. Richard just reminded me of that one. We should do that sooner rather than later. I keep pushing it off, but
Let's say that one again. I was writing your other one.
removing die, being able to remove die from dyed stuff. That Sean guy, when do you expect to complete another run through agriculture? We have another polish pass planned on agriculture in Q1, which will release more details on Thursday. That'll include things like batch planting. Let's see. That Sean guy also says, can we reduce the time sink of agriculture by adding an auto water solution, like placing a wind power generator next to a well that waters all the plants on a schedule? That's very Rube Goldberg-y.
I can see if it's something that took up a lot of space. So you're trading your time for total output because you can plant less stuff.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
can see that as an option, as a trade-off, that you only get a third less crops, but it's auto watered, so you don't have to spend the time. So spend the time harvesting.
And also, if it took a lot of resources to build it, and it also wore down, and you had to repair it, because that's the other thing. Like there was a cost associated with it. Sure.
Yep.
Let's see. Sean Guy also asked, can yields be adjusted to be more proportional to the work involved? A single water yields 25% of the max yield in a seed, up to full yield in a second seed. Yeah, so, one thing to note about agriculture is there's really no skills yet in there, so there's going to be a skill tree that modifies there's going to be more skills in there that affect things you do. More tools, more skills, a lot of that's going to affect all this. So yes, the general yes to this, not necessarily the specific request, but there's going to be a lot more things that influence input and output in agriculture. Zicarlos asks, any news about armor resistances versus weapon types?
Did you put it on Q1?
No.
This is one of those things. It's not a huge task on our side of things. It's just as we come off of questions where, when is agriculture going to get a pass, and when is this going to get balanced, and what about, we still have some bottlenecks. One of those is the guy who does a lot of our data work for that stuff. He is amazingly fast and efficient and sharp, but he is only one guy, and that's one of those things that's going to require a lot of effort on his time, so I haven't tried to force it in earlier than necessary. It is also something that will, when we do add it in, your existing gear will just suddenly get these new features to it, but it will also open up some new options, things that we can add to the enchants. So there will be some new things that you can do in terms of how you enhance your armor.
Okay.
Starts adding Jiras during the live stream.
It's crazy time.
Multitasking.
All right. Let's see. Crumpets asks, when are Wands and Staves going to get another polish pass? That ties to what Chris was just saying. We have a bottleneck of the one guy, and Q1 is going to see a lot of work on crafting. So probably not, and we're gonna be focused probably on ranged weapons more than anything in Q1, including a revamp of how ammo works. So unfortunately, Wands and Staves are probably not going to get attention in Q1. Unfortunately.
Players are using them now. They have kind of gotten to the point where they are not pitiful. I think the big thing is they open up a lot of options just due to fizzle rates and the bonuses you can get on. They do still need some love. I think there's a lot of people out there who miss the old days where they were just an infinite shoot, ding, 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 ding type thing. I think there's also some people who still want to be Gandalf wielding the staff, fighting trolls, hitting them with their staff and being effective. I don't know that side of things will ever happen. Maybe there will be a war staff version that is used for combat, but not actually effective for magic. But yes, as we mentioned, this is one of those things that's delayed not because it's a huge task, but because we have some bottlenecks on the team still.
Okay. All
Made
right.
another Jira.
Yep. All right. So epic cloth armor. Crumpets asks, I would like my girlish figure back, please. It might also be worth losing the pouches on the back of the belt. They clip through cloaks. Yeah. So we do have a task on the backlog to make the epic cloth more fitted on females, so it's not so loose fitting, so it'll be more form fitting. And I just entered that Jira about losing the pouches on the back. So great suggestion. Twofold Silence says, would it be possible to change the look of harvestable trees? Like, when will pine trees look like pine trees, maple trees?
That would be nice.
Yeah, so those of you new to the project, this is the ongoing thing of we are still using the default, not the default, but the tree we used in the prototype that we built for the Unity, for the demo.
Pre-release 1.
The demo we made for the Kickstarter. So we're still using the same tree art.
And tech.
And
Still
tech.
falls just as crappily if you're on a hill.
Yeah, so
Jira updated.
What?
Jira updated.
Yeah, so we absolutely need to do this. I don't know if we'll get to it in Q1, but I would sure like to fix that because it's been around forever. All right, let's see. Old Dog asks, can you explain decay based on the 12-hour thing? I don't know what that question means. Oh my gosh, we're going to the board.
Decay of what? A torch? Decay of what?
I think they're talking about skill decay.
Yeah, Christopher.
So decay is one of those things people constantly fear and fret and get angry about. I have not actually heard any stories of horror or doom. So the way the decay works, 12 hours of decay accumulates over time while you're playing. When you die, that decay gets applied. It removes a percentage, a very, very small percentage of the experience you have applied to all your skills. If you have these skills set to train or maintain, instead it takes that experience out of your pool if you have experience in your pool. A good reason to keep some experience in your pool so you never have to worry about any skills decreasing. The amount, right now we're at 12 hours, that number will keep going up, the max decay. Right now that is out of any skill, if you have 1 million experience points in it, we'll go with that example, that's a lot of experience having a skill that's Grandmaster in almost any skill except I think for some of the summon skills and maybe some chaos skills. If you have 1 million experience points applied to a skill, which is, by the way, more experience than 2/3 of players have, and you had 12 hours full decay and you died, you would lose, 2500. So you would lose 1,250 experience points off that skill. So that's what the current 12-hour decay is. 12 hours of decay will be 1,250 experience points off of the 1 million experience points you have there. While that doesn't sound like a lot, again, there's players out there who have 10 million in those skills and it starts adding up. And then remember, it does that for every skill. For those who didn't know this release, we also changed it so players don't have any decay until they reach a certain level of experience. So many players are not seeing any decay at all. It's really just it's instead of making it so there's hard caps on skills, where you can only get X number of skills to be 100, we allow players to go higher, but this, as you have more experience applied, this becomes more and more painful over time until you basically level off to a point where your earn rate and your loss rate is about the same. You have to pick what skills to focus on. That number 12 hours will be going up again in the future. The long-term goal for it is still either 48 hours or 72 hours. I don't know what he was wanting, but it seems like it's one of those things I have to explain every now and then.
Okay.
Star's making cheers. He can't stop himself.
All right. Okay. So we're just about out of time. I'm scanning through here. So there's 3 questions I want to answer before we leave. But before I do that, I want to give out some more prizes. Then I'm going to answer 3 questions, and then we're going to say our goodbyes. And just a reminder, the questions that we didn't get to, I will answer tomorrow as a post in the forums. So, prizes.
Prizes. All right. First, we have a $10 store credit going to Thor Gundy. And then we have 10 Kodos that we're giving to Amphireon. And a silver clockwork monkey, because everyone needs a silver clockwork monkey, really. But for right now, we're giving one to Kayla's Fireharp. And finally, a 2016 Winter Holiday Pack valued at $40 on the add-on store, filled with lots of goodies. And the winner of that is Alistair Cregan. And that's your prizing for this round.
Congratulations, all the winners. All right, so the handful of questions I wanted to answer before we took off. So Asclepius asks, can you confirm that the main quests, Love, Truth, and Courage, will be reset on official launch? So to be clear, we're not going to reset them on players. What we have talked about is giving players the option to be able to reset those flags on your character. So we have no plans to automatically reset those, but if you as a player wanted to go through those again, we would do that. Now, what you need to understand though is we're not necessarily planning on resetting your level. So you're going to be super high level going through those things.
Yeah, if I may though,
Yeah.
because I've played through the plot both at high level and low level now, just because of the way I have to test randomly, and people who are playing now and going through the quest, of course, are seeing broken and missing pieces along the route. So I'm guessing most of you that want to play the plot will want to reset your plot to the beginning, and because I think it'll be more fulfilling to do it that last time through. But because our game is not really level based, those scenarios actually take you through higher and lower level spaces anyway. And so I personally have found it enjoyable to go back through, even though my character is somewhat more advanced, after you cleared the conversation flags, basically to reset the conversation state. So anyway, I'm predicting you will want to do that. We'll likely hook that up through the Oracle or some other way that you can begin that process again if you wish. Anyways, I'm guessing most of you will choose to do it. But in case somebody's going like, no, I kind of made it through that 80% of the way through, and I don't care what side quests I missed, you don't have to reset it by any means.
All right. Let's see. Wolftum asks, have the performance updates allowed us to increase the deco limits? And so almost, we're super close.
So the thing we need on the deco limits, we have better background loading right now. Smoother in terms of how it hits the frame rate. It still hits the frame rate some. There's still some more work are done on that. There's a lot of caching that still needs to be tuned and better managing of packages for those things. The bigger thing though is we have not taken a real strong pass at frame rate issues in terms of how much graphics we can put on screen. I've got some shelved changed lists for those that hopefully I'll get in for R38. We probably won't want to increase yet though. I know Al's head actually was running pretty well for me. I was getting, for the first time ever, I was getting well in excess of 30 frames a second on a modest video card. So I think we're getting closer. I don't think we're quite there yet.
Yeah.
I do foresee us getting there though.
So one way to describe where we are now is we were well below where we needed to be from a performance standpoint. The game was not running well. We've now clawed our way up to the game is running pretty good, running well at current limits. If we were to raise the limits now, the game would be back to where it was before from a performance standpoint. So we basically give up all the gains we just got. So what we need to do now is we need to do another round of performance improvements to get the game well above running okay. It needs to be running amazingly well. So then we can up all those limits with that and so that in really intense scenes like Owl's Head and Ardris and stuff like that, we don't go back to where we were before, if that makes sense. Duke, Richard, this is one for you. Duke Avery asks, why is the sun called the sun? Which is very Earth specific.
Yeah, I saw that go by in the chat log, and by the way, while that's a perfectly fair question, it also begs, why do Novians speak English, and why are trees called trees, even though it's a new world? And so, in this case, while it would be perfectly fine to have named it something else, I didn't feel the need to name it something else. So, someday if somebody has a clever idea for what our star should be called uniquely, I'm happy to consider it, but it has never struck me as something important to change the English nomenclature for.
Right.
I just want to say that for those who saw the live stream, we had our new programmer on the live stream who did a great job from what I hear. I actually didn't watch it, but apparently he's got a lot of fans now.
Yeah, it's now available on YouTube. You can watch it.
Great. That's great.
All of you who missed the live stream last Friday.
The Undone was the name of the new programmer, but he actually has a PhD in astrophysics, and one of the first things he did when he joined the team and was in my room was like, what's wrong with our solar? What's wrong with the planet? How are we thinking this works? That Novi is the center of the galaxy and there's a sun that rotates around. How does this work? And we discussed it and came up with the only viable solution is there's a micro black hole on the opposite side that's actually keeping the center. That's actually the gravity center.
Oh.
That's or our planet is just heavier than you think, and that didn't work.
That's also what's distorting time. But then you get in the same problem you had with Interstellar with, okay, well, if the time on that planet is distorted by the micro black hole that it's close to, and in rapid orbiting around while the other planets orbit around that, and that's the center of gravity for the universe. Then you also get in the problem of the distortion of the radio, and so the ether amplifier.
Screw you, it's magic. Chris Spears, 2016.
So, anyways, we got problems. We'll solve them. We'll come up with the science that works.
All right. Last question, and then we'll make some closing comments. Cinderia asks, when will the shipment of the pledge rewards begin? So our plan is to ship pledge rewards around the same time as we do our commercial launch, which will be hopefully in 2017, and we'll be announcing a proposed commercial launch date sometime soon-ish. And that's when
We'll announce it before it happens.
Yeah. So physical rewards will go out alongside a commercial launch. So when you see us announce a commercial launch date, that's when you can expect to get physical rewards. There you go. All right.
Very good.
So, Richard, would you like to make some closing statements?
I would indeed. We didn't open up tonight the way I often like to say thanks. Every day we sincerely do think about the fact that we really do work for you, that we're so thankful that you have given us this opportunity to make this game. We're to a person on this team passionate about making this game. You can tell by when our daily meetings and things that I know you all can see the daily reports of. You can feel how excited this team is to be making this game, and how much they appreciate the engagement that you have with them. Everyone here knows we're not only making a great game, but making it in a very unique way compared to games that have been made in the past. and it is all thanks to you. We wouldn't exist without you. We work for you, and we thank you. On to you.
Chris?
Well, I'd like to thank the players. I do a lot of talking to players on. They just posted my meme of "Screw you, it's magic." I think that's supposed to be the explanation for how the solar system works.
No, I actually shouted that while you were talking. That's why they.
Okay. But I'd like to thank the players. I mean, just talking to the players, getting a lot of feedback, even the ones I occasionally disagree with, as I'm sitting here disagreeing with Umuri in the chat, trying to type on my phone here, and the others. Having players who actually are as passionate about the game as we are helps so much in terms of not just keeping us honest, but keeping us focused on things and keeping us passionate about the game as well. It's a totally different. I've been in games nearly, not quite as long as Richard. I'm not sure there's many people who've been in games as long as Richard, but well in excess of, yeah, you're old. Well in excess of 20 years as a professional, but actually probably almost as long as Richard in terms of actual playing games. But in terms of developing games, I've been in games more than 20 years, and it's a totally different experience working with the players so much. So thanks so much for everybody, and thanks for keeping it constructive and keeping us on target, and we will keep turning out a better and better game every single release, which has always been my promise.
And I also would like to thank our community and our backers. Again, we are a crowd-funded title. Everything we do is thanks to you. We would not be here today having this talk with you. You would not be playing the game you're playing without your generous support through monetary contributions, through your feedback, through your critique, through your bug reports. All of that makes this happen. And thank you, thank you, thank you. This is an incredible community. We appreciate everything you do. And I am very, very, very glad to be part of it. I love coming to work every day. So, thank you.
Yeah, it's. I'd just like to say too that the year I've been here, almost a year, has been fantastic working with you guys in the community, building fan sites, developing community events, and working with you to just to help this game become better. And it's incredible. Just the months that I've been a part of the project, how much we've done and how far along we've brought this game for you, the community. And I'm excited to continue that into 2017, to work with you on building more fan sites, especially as we work towards commercial launch and we work together to make this a game that we all want to play, because that's really what it's about, right? It's a game to have fun and to build a community, and there's so much potential yet to develop. With now that we have persistence, we have housing, we're building, adding more content into the game to support all of those types of gameplay modes that we have, and to enjoy the diversity and the fun factor in this game in all areas of it. And I am still exploring and seeing new things in the game on a weekly basis. Every time I hop into the game, there's something new. There's somebody who comes by and walks up and says, "Oh, Barrett, great to see you in the overworld map," or wherever I am at the moment in the game. And that's exciting for us to see too, is that that interaction. So we really appreciate that. We appreciate your feedback, being part of the testing incentives program, being a part of all the events that are going on. You don't have to be starting them necessarily. Just jump in and be a good, positive community member. We do appreciate your feedback all across the spectrum. It's only those few moments where we have to take action in the forums to tone things down, lock threads, the usual. We don't do that very often, and by and large, 99% of the time, the community is helping each other, and that's what I love to see here. So into 2017 we go.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody. See you next year.